Okay, let's begin. Okay, good afternoon to everyone. Let's continue our exercise. So we are on planning and control management, special topics. Previous episode was about special topics, session 3, Primavera P6, activity dates explained. And here's our current episode, special topics session 4, the same topics and subject, only we are on the second segment. So kindly subscribe, like, and share. So we will be finishing our topics here on regarding the types of activity dates. Okay, here's the continuation of the activity date types that we have to finish. The remaining early starts, and according to Primavera P6, the earliest possible date, the remaining work for the activity is scheduled to begin. This date is calculated by the project scheduler, but can be updated manually by the user. Before the activity is started, the remaining start is the same as the project plan start. So once the activity has started, the remaining start is equal to the data date. So when the activity is complete, the remaining start is blank. Okay, so we will have to make our own assessment here. So here is the remaining early start. Here it is. So now, since the project has not been scheduled or updated, so if you look at it, everything in here on the start, baseline start, plan start, early start, remaining early start, remaining late start, they are all the same. And also here on the finish dates, all are of the same dates. So now, that means when the activity has not started, it is equal to the plan start. So the remaining early start is equals to the plan start. Now, how about if we will start the project? So let's say we will put an actual date here. Let's say October 5. And then here on the second activity, let's say we will put an actual date here, which is October, let's say October 10. Okay, so we will update status our project to November 1. This is for the next update. Okay, and then run the schedule. So here it is. Okay, we'll put it this way. I think the time scale here is not day. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, here we go. Now, what have you noticed? So the remaining early start here becomes the data date. But the next activity, the remaining early start is 19th November, which is later than the data date. So what is our observation here? It is because the reason why for this one is that there is an out of sequence in this activity. If you look at it, the relationship type is finished to start, but in actual, this activity started before the completion of its predecessor, which is supposed to be, as per our plan, that this activity will start after the completion of the its predecessor. But since in the actual situation, they start ahead of the completion of its predecessor, so there is an out of sequence on that activity. So looking at that one, we can look at the the scheduling log if there is really an out of sequence report on the schedule log. So here we can find it here. Okay, and then let's view the log. Okay, let's view the log. So here it is. So there is the log. So here we can find here the out of sequence activities, project markup activities. So there is an out of sequence, right? So let's get back to the schedule. Now that is why there's an out of sequence, so that that is why the remaining early start is not really equal to the data date, but supposed to be, or supposedly it should. So if we will try to modify this one, just a trial, we will make it start to start for a certain log. So if you can see that the data date of this activity is already equal to the data date. Okay, the remaining early start of this activity is already equal to the data date. And don't you observe that the predecessor is critical and this one is not critical? So what is your observation? So let's put this back. Okay, so that means when the activity has started with no out of sequence, it is equal to the data date. Okay, unless constraint and log in the activity are present, it will be calculated accordingly. So that means if we put this into out of sequence, so it will be calculated accordingly. So the reason why this is being posted, because the finished date of this one poses the remaining duration of this activity. Okay. And there is another one scenario here that since this is an out of sequence, we can override this relationship by going here into the schedule, general option. Let's say option. And then here, where we are now, here we can see here when the scheduling progress activities issues, we will use the progress override. The schedule will ignore the relationship and the activity will be scheduled as considering without or ignoring the relationship. Okay, so let's close and then let's try to run the schedule. So you see, that is the work, how the progress override works. Okay, that's okay. Let's move it back again. Option, and then we will remove this one, put it to the retained logic, and then schedule. Okay. So that means when the in the case of out of sequence where the scheduling a general option progress override is applied, so it will be equal to the data date. And also let's try if we will try to complete or make the activity complete or 100%. So let's say we will put here, it is completed by the 20th of October. So what did you say? So you can see here the remaining early start becomes blank. So when the activity is updated, complete, the remaining early start is being dissolved. Okay? So that means our assessment here is that, okay, when the activity has not started, it is equal to the planned start. But when the activity has started with no out of sequence, it is equal to the data date. Unless constraints and lag in the activities are present, it will be calculated accordingly. And in the case of out of sequence, where the scheduling general option progress override is applied, it will be equal to the data date. Okay, next we will go to, okay, when the activity is updated complete, meaning 100%, the remaining early start is dissolved or being blank. Okay, so let's proceed to the remaining late start. So according to Primavera, the latest possible date, the remaining work for the activity must begin without delaying the project finish or milestone date. So this date is calculated by the project scheduler based on activity relationship, schedule constraints, and resource availability. When the activity is complete, the remaining late start is blank. Okay, let's look at our Primavera. So if you look at the remaining late start, that is somewhere here. So that means when the activity is completed, so they have of the same effect with the remaining early start. Okay, but the question here, let's say we will put this in progress. Okay, status, let's remove this. And then let's put this back into 8. Okay, what happened to the remaining late start? So here, the remaining late start, take note that this is a critical activity. The remaining late start is equal to the data date. That is when the activity is in progress. So how about this one? So we will remove what happened. This is this is not a critical activity. So let's say, for example, we will try to remove the out of sequence. So let's say we will change this relationship into start. So take note that if you look at here, the remaining late start, the date is not equal to the data date compared to the first activity, which has no out of sequence. So that means when there is no out of sequence, the remaining late start of the activity is equal to the data date. So let's try to remove this one and then make it into start. So what happened? Okay, still the remaining late start here doesn't change. It's supposed to be that it should be unlike on the first activity, it is equal to the data date, and this one is still the same. So that means if we will be analyzing that one, so when the activity is in progress and non-critical, it is calculated and scheduled later than the data date. Okay? So meaning it is not equal to the data date. But when the activity is in progress and critical, it is equal to the data date, right? So if we will make this as complete, let's say we will make it as complete as 200. Okay, so the remaining late start is dissolved. So let's say we will complete this also, the second activity, which is not a critical activity. Let's say we will make it 100% also. So the same thing happened. Okay, so let's move forward. So let's put our assessment here. So that means when the activity is in progress and critical, it is equal to the data date. While when the activity is in progress and non-critical, it is calculated and scheduled later than the data date. And when the activity is updated complete, the remaining late start is dissolved or it is blank. Okay, so let's move forward. So we'll go to the late start. So according to Primavera P6, late start is the latest possible date the remaining work for the activity must begin without delaying the project finish date. So this date is calculated by project scheduler based on activity relationships, schedule constraints, and resource availability. The late start equals the remaining late start unless you preserve the schedule late dates during labeling. Okay, so when it comes to labeling, we will be taking up this on the later stage of our exercise. We need to focus on the our basic topics first. Okay, so we will look at our Primavera P6 and let's make our own assessment. First, we will clear all of this. Let's retrieve back into the original and then we'll move this into October 1. Okay, schedule. So we are talking about the late starts. So it is not started since the activity has not started. So the late start here is equals to the remaining late start, right? So let's try to update this. Okay, let's update it again to October 5. And this one is, let's say October 10. We will run the status date to November 1. Okay, schedule. So, okay, let's change this one into 8. And this one, let's say 6. Okay, so what have you observed on our late start? So the late start is equal to the data date. Okay. Progress. So when it was not, I mean, okay. So how about if we will make this as complete? We'll make it to, let's say 5. Let's say it is completed by 20. So what happened to the late start? Okay, so when the activity is critical and updated complete, so this one was critical before and this one is not, it is set equal to the data date, right? So while when the activity is non-critical and updated complete, so let's say we will make this complete by the 25th. What happened? So the late start is set later than the data date, right? So we will try, how about if we will try to remove this out of sequence? What happened? They are still the same. So meaning the definition is when the activity is non-critical and updated complete, it is set later than the data date. Okay, so let's move. Okay, our assessment is when the activity has not started or in progress, it is equal to the remaining late start, unless the scheduled late dates are preserved during the labeling, and we will be taking up this later. And when the activity is critical and updated complete, it is equal or it is set equal to the data date. While when the activity is non-critical and updated complete, it is set. It is set later than the data date. Okay, so remaining early finish. Okay. According to Primavera, the earliest possible date the remaining work for the activity is scheduled to finish. This date is calculated by project scheduler but can be updated manually by the user before the activity is started. So the remaining finish is the same as the planned finish when. Okay, when the activity is complete, the remaining finish is blank. So meaning all the remaining dates, when it is completed, they are set to blank. So let's make our assessment. We'll be working on the early finish date. So here is the early finish date, this one. Okay, let's remove again. And then let's remove the actuals and then put the data date to October 1. Then schedule. Okay, so remaining early start. So when the activity has not started, so it is equal to the planned start, right? So remaining early start, so it is equal to the planned start. So when the activity has started, so let's say we will start it again by 5th, and here for the non-critical, okay, let's update it into November 1 month schedule. Okay, okay, let's change this duration into 8 and this one by 6. Okay, so what did we observe in here regarding the remaining early start? So it is equal to the data date, and the same case as here. Take note that we are observing the activity, the critical activity, and the other one is the non-critical activity. Okay. So what happened? So this is the result. So that means when the activity has started with no out of sequence activities, it is equal to the data date. So that means this one has no out of sequence. Okay. So unless constraint and lag in the activities are present, it will be calculated accordingly. So that means this one has a lag, or I mean there is an out of sequence. So that is why there is a calculation that it will be set later than the data date, right? So that means in the case of the out of sequence, where scheduling general option progress override is applied, so the same thing will happen as in the early start. So it will be equal to the data date. Okay, so when we will make this as complete, okay, we will make this as complete by October, let's say 15. And this one, we will make this complete by October 20. So what happened? So our remaining early start becomes blank. Okay, or it is dissolved from the schedule. So this is our assessment. Okay, so our statement, when the activity has not started, it is equal to the planned finish. But when the activity has started, it is equal to the remaining early start plus the remaining duration. Okay. And when the activity is updated complete, the remaining early start is dissolved. Okay, so we will go to the finish date. I think we'll go here. This is the finish date. Where is it? This one. Okay, let's pull it back again to the original schedule. And then move the data date 1 month. Okay. Okay. So this is the original again. So we will be working on what is it? Remaining early finish. We will be working on the finish date. So this is according to Primavera for completed activities, the actual finish date for not started and in progress activities set to the planned finish date. If the project has not been scheduled, when schedule, for not started activities and in progress activities is set to the planned finish date if the project has not been scheduled. So when scheduled, it is set to the remaining early finish. Okay, let's go to Primavera, and this is our finish date, right? So this means that when the activity has not started, so it is equals to the planned finish. So this is it, right? Okay, so it equals planned finish. So when we try to start this one, let's see what will happen. And then also we will start this one. Take note, we are using only two activities. One is critical and the other one is non-critical. Okay, so schedule it to November 1. Schedule, and then we will make this as 8. We will make this as 6. So what have you observed on our finish date? Okay, so our finish date, when the activity has started, it is equal to the remaining early start. So this is the remaining early start, right? So it is equal to it. Plus, this is the remaining early start, plus, um, I think we are on, so are we working on, where do we are working on the remaining early start? Okay. So now we're working on the finish date, right? Okay, so we're working on the finish date. So that means our finish date here is, where is it? This one. So when the activity has started, so it is equals to the remaining early finish. I mean, okay, so when the activity is updated complete, so we will make this as complete. Let's say October 10. So the what happened to the finish date? Okay, so when the activity is updated complete, the finish date is equal to the actual finish date. Okay, so our actual here is 10 October, but the only difference is that there is a letter A appended into the activity date. Okay, so that's all we have. Okay, so that means when the activity has not started, it is equal to the planned finish. But when the activity has started, it is equal to the remaining early finish. And next, when the activity is updated complete, the finish date is equal to the actual finish. Okay, next we will go to the early finish. Okay, again, we have to remove. We have to remove and then pull it back to the previous status date. Okay, so we are again in the new into the original. So we're working on what? Early finish. So when the activity has not started, uh, it is equal to the remaining early finish, right? So this is our early finish. So that is equals to the remaining early finish. Okay. So how about if it is in progress? Okay, so we will put in progress here. We will make it actual days 5. And also the actual date is 10. And then put the data date into November 1. Then schedule. Make this 8. Remaining duration and 6 for the other one. So what they have you observed? We are working on the early finish. Okay. So what happened to the early finish? So when it is in progress, it is still equal to the remaining early finish, right? But how about here? So here in the non-critical activity, so it is also equals to the remaining early finish. So if we will make it as complete as 100%, let's see what will happen. Let's say we'll move it to 20. So what happened? Or to the early finish, it is set equal to the data date, right? And then let's try this one also in the what do you call this? In the non-critical activity, we'll make it 100. So what happened to the early finish? So it is also equal to the data date. So when the activity is updated complete, early finish is set into the data date. Okay, so let's move it here. Early finish, according to Primavera, the earliest possible date the activity can finish. This date is calculated by the project scheduler based on activity relationships, schedule constraints, and resource availability. The early finish equals the remaining finish unless you preserve the schedule early dates during labeling. So this is according to Primavera P6. And ours is when the activity has not started or in progress, it is equal to the remaining early finish unless the scheduled early dates are preserved during the labeling, which is to be taken later. And when the activity is updated complete, early finish is set equal to the data date. Okay, let's move next is plan finish. So according to Primavera, for an activity that has not started, the date the activity is scheduled to finish. So this date is set equal to the early finish date by the project scheduler, but can be updated manually by the user. And also this date is not changed by the project scheduler once they apply an actual finish date. So let's go to Primavera. Okay, let's remove this again. As usual, remove, and then we'll go to data date, pull it back to October 1, and then schedule. So we are still fresh. The schedule is still fresh. Now, so that means when the activity has not started, so it is equals to the early finish. So this is our planned finish, right? So if you look at this, it is equals to the early finish, right? So that is when it is not yet started. So if we will put it in the situation that is already started, and also this one, let's make it started, and pull it back to November 1, schedule, make it 8, make it 6. So what will be the observation here? Plan finish. So when the activity has started, it is equal to the date before it was scheduled, right? Because this date is the one when it was not scheduled. This is equals to 18 October. So let's look at it again. So let's remove. Okay, let's remove. Okay. Pull it back to October. Okay, so when you look at that, the plan finish is 18 October, right? So when we will update it into, we'll make it into in progress situation. Okay, let's run the schedule. November 1, schedule. Let's make this 8. Let's make this at 6. So if you look at the plan finish, so it is still the same date before it was scheduled, right? Before we schedule, we update the start or update the activity in progress. The date was 18 October. So now, when we update it, it is still the same. So that means when the activity has started, it is equal to the data date before it was scheduled. So when the activity is updated complete, oh, okay, we will make it this as completed by the 20th. So what happened? It is still the same, right? So when the activity is updated complete, it is equal to the date it was scheduled. Okay, so let's go. Let's update our own observation here is when the activity has not started, it is equal to the early finish date. When the activity has started, it is equal to the date before it was scheduled. When the activity is updated complete, it is equal to the date it was scheduled. Okay, let's go to remaining late finish. According to Primavera, the latest possible date the activity must finish without delaying the project finish date. This date is calculated by the project scheduler based on activity relationship, scheduled constraints, and resource availability. So when the activity is complete, the remaining late finish blank is blank, okay? Okay, let's go to Primavera. And then as usual, we will remove it back, pull it back into its original condition, and then schedule. Okay, so we will be working on, what is it? Remaining late finish, okay. So the remaining late finish here is this one. So since it is not yet scheduled, so what is our observation here? So the remaining late finish of the activity, okay, so this is equal to the, before it was scheduled, it is equal to the early finish or the remaining early finish. Okay, so we will apply the actual. Okay, October 5, October 10. Okay, let's put it here to November. Okay, and then let's make this as 8 and then 6 as usual. So what is our observation here for the remaining late finish? So remaining late finish is equal to the remaining late finish. Okay, take note of this one. Remaining late finish of the activity is equal to the remaining late finish of the successor, okay, less the remaining duration of the successor activity, which has the least total float. So meaning the successor, actually this one, it has only one. How many successor does it? 2. Okay, so that means the successor of this activity, the late remaining late finish of this late finish date of this activity is equal to the remaining late finish of the successor, meaning since it has 2 successor, but you have to choose those successor which has the least total float. So that means the its early finish date is 26th of November, right? This is the list, right? This is the last float successor. So 26th of November, less the remaining duration, which is 8. What else? So the remaining late finish is equals to the remaining late finish less the remaining duration of the successor activity with the least total float. So that means this is the remaining late finish of this what they call this, of the successor. This is one is not the well, let's say we will show the total float. Okay, so that we can see the, okay, we'll put it here at the end. So if you look at this one, this activity has 2 successor, right? So if you look at according to our observation, I mean our analysis, that, or in by formula, that the remaining late finish of the activity is equal to the remaining late finish of the successor less the remaining duration of the successor with the least total float. That means if there is only one successor, so immediately or quickly the late finish of that successor will be used. But if there are 2 successor, so the successor with the last float should be used. What I mean is the remaining late finish of the successor with a least total float will be used to calculate the remaining late finish of the activity. So if you look at here, there are 2 successor, right? The first one is this one. And the second one is, where is it? This one. And then the second one is this one, okay? If you look at, so this activity has two successors, this one and this one. Now, if you look at the list, successor with the least total float is this one, all right? So that is 26, I mean the remaining late finish is 26. So if you reduce the duration, so 26 less 18 remaining duration, how much? So that means 26 less 18, it will give you 8, right? So this is it. Because if we will use the remaining late finish of this one which has a bigger total float, so it won't come up to the correct remaining late finish of the activity. So let me repeat it again. So the remaining late finish of the activity is equal to the remaining late finish of the successor less the remaining duration of the successor activity with the least total float. So meaning the remaining late finish of the successor with the less total float less its duration, that will be equal to the remaining late finish of the activity. Okay, so when we will make this as complete, let's say 20. So what happened? So the remaining late finish is dissolved. Okay, so let's move forward. So here is our assessment. Our remaining late finish of the activity is equal to the remaining late finish less the remaining duration of the successor activity with the less total float. Okay, so when the activity is updated complete, the remaining late finish is dissolved. And we will go to the late finish. So that is the latest possible date the activity must finish without delaying the project finish date. So this date is calculated by the project scheduler based on activity relationship, schedule constraints, and resource availability. So the late finish equals the remaining late finish unless you preserve the schedule late dates during the labeling. So let's go to late finish. Okay, again, we will remove, no, that's wrong. Again, we in the status, we will remove the actuals. Remove the actuals. Okay, and then pull it back into the original data date. Okay. Late finish. So when the activity has not started, so what happened? So that is equals to the remaining late finish, right? And now when the activity is critical and updated complete, okay, now let's so we have already here the situation where it is not yet started. So it is equal to the late finish equals to the remaining late finish. So how about if we will start it? Let's see 5. And then this one is 10. Okay, let's make this on the November 1. Then schedule. So let's make this 8. Let's make this 6, and this one is 8. Okay, so what have you observed? So the late finish is still the same as in the remaining late finish, correct? So that means remaining late finish, no. That means when the activity has not started or in progress, it is equal to the remaining late finish, okay? It may either started or not started. It will be equal to the remaining late finish. And now how about if we will make it complete? Okay, so we will make this complete by the 20th, and this one, we will make it complete by the 25th, and we will see what will happen. So what happened? So we will work on the critical activity first. So that means the late finish in the critical situation, it is equals to the data date. But if it's not in the critical situation, the late finish is what? It is set later than the data date, right? Because it is different. Even though we will try to correct the out of sequence, there is no changes, right? So I think we're done. Okay, let's move. So our assessment for the late finish is when the activity has not started or in progress, it is equal to the remaining late finish unless the schedule or late dates are preserved during labeling, which we will be taking up later. And then when the activity is critical and updated complete, so it is set equal to the data date, while when the activity is non-critical and updated complete, it is set later than the data date. Okay, so thank God we're done. And I hope everybody, including myself, understands the details of Primavera P6 activity dates. And at least even just an idea that we have that, at least we understand the schedule or program that we are working. Okay, so I think let's take a break. Okay. Next episode is part 4, session 11. Okay. So that is about progress update 001, preparation of program update basic report. That means once we finish updating our program, reviewing it, when everything is already prepared, so we have to prepare the reports for the project team information. Okay, so see you for the next update, and thank you guys. Kindly subscribe, like, and share. Okay, so end of our session. God bless to all, and goodbye.